Dr. Hawkins, genetic conditions like Pompe, the parents and even grandparents often feel a sense of guilt at their child's diagnosis, maybe as if it was their fault, which may even be worse after a passing of a child. What would be your advice?
Thank you, Raymond. That's an important question. And guilt is a very common thing that happens with genetic conditions. I suppose when I'm thinking about what happens with that guilt after a child passes away, I think about the impact of that guilt on everybody, the collective family guilt everybody carries, and how that impacts on relationships and how people behave. Does it actually make somebody stay away? Does it stop parents from visiting more because they feel too guilty? Does it impact on people actually being able to really support another person? Does it impact on you going forward into the next part of your life and enjoying some of it? Because people often feel like I can't enjoy anything, because if I enjoy something, it means I don't hurt as much. So guilt can have very systemic impacts on people after a child dies as well. And then they're not necessarily positive, and they sort of really take away from quality of life. And that tension between guilt and love is very confusing. But guilt doesn't mean love. They're actually not connected. Guilt means your belief system doesn't match your behavior. Guilt does not mean love. And talking to people about that can be actually quite helpful. And if guilt is so paralyzing and impacting on too much, I suggest getting some help around it would be useful. A grief and loss counsellor would be really a good person to see. And having somebody in the family that can just say, hey, you know, I think your guilt is actually a real negative for everybody, including yourself. And it may be useful to get some help around it, because guilt isn't love. Could be one way to move forward.